The Dental Download Podcast is your source for insight into dental school, conversations with dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Haley Schultz. Let's get into this week's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Dental Download Podcast. Happy Monday if you're listening to this right when it was posted. So I'm recording this intro the night before the episode goes up, April 10th, a Sunday, and I didn't give you an intro last week. I apologize. Things have been busy, but I will catch you up on that, what's been going on the past couple weeks, and then we'll get into the main episode. It's going to be a chatty solo episode all about clubs and dental school. I may have done this topic before, but I think I have new perspective and more information and updates to bring to it. So I'm going to talk about which clubs I've been actively involved in this school year, my D2 year, and what my roles were and everything, and then why I think you should get involved. What can you get out of being in extracurriculars, clubs, and kind of an only if statement. Only get involved in clubs if, and then just some added benefits that you don't really think about necessarily when getting involved. So that's what we're going to cover today. But before that, I wanted to do our weekly catch up. I will jump back to 2 weeks ago since we missed one last week. So looking at the end of March, that last week of March, I had ASDA stuff every night. Monday night, Great Expressions came. Tuesday night, we had a Zoom with Midwest Dental. Thursday night, we had Dental Dreams come, and then I had a District 6 cabinet meeting. Thursday night, I had a suture workshop for AAWD, and then I had a podcast guest recording with a really awesome female dentist. She is just so cool. She's a mom. She has been a consultant for private equity companies looking to purchase dental offices. She's a pediatric dentist, and she's just a startup CEO as well of a company related to medical translation. So all of that we will cover in future episodes when it's posted. I think it'll go up sometime in May, but very fun episode and a really great connection to make. So that's one of the reasons I'm so grateful for this podcast, all the connections I can make with people. And that week I also had a lot of bar classes. Looking at my calendar, I joined a bar studio. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet. So bar is just a type of workout. It's basically strength training. I would most compare it to a typical bar class, but they also have yoga and half bar, half yoga hybrid classes. They also have HIIT classes. They have kickboxing HIIT classes. So there's a mix of things offered at the studio. So I feel like I can go 4 or 5 days a week and be able to still have a little bit of rest in there depending what workout I'm choosing. And they have a really nice student package, the one here in Ann Arbor, where it's discounted for an unlimited membership for 3 months, a semester package. So that's what I'm planning on doing once my new member period expires. But I've been loving that, and I think it's really getting me into better shape, which is so important for dental school and working as a dentist, to take care of yourself and to be strong and have core strength and upper body strength and stretch and just treat your body well, because dentistry is such a physically demanding career. And this past week, so the first week of April, nothing too notable because we're going into finals, which I can mention in a future episode when I do my semester recap, but I've just been studying for finals, so I had more bar classes and more going on with ASDA and extracurricularly. We had SimLab like usual. I also had radiology rotation, my last one of the semester. I recorded with another podcast guest, and I had another dentures lab where I was able to finish my projects for the semester, get everything turned in. So now all I have left is our written final exam, and I think I'll have to remediate our practical from a few weeks ago where we were designing an RPD on a cast, because I did the clasp system essentially backwards. I had it facing distally, the clasp tip to engage, but it should have been facing mesially. So it would really give you the complete opposite results when you're looking at physics and mechanics of the RPD. So I would assume that was a critical error and I'll have to remediate, which is okay. I wasn't thinking straight in the moment. And then in the evenings, to let you know what was going on extracurricularly, very on theme for this episode, Monday night, we had an open house. The University of Michigan Dental School did, so it was over Zoom, so students could come in and learn about the school from admissions officers, I think some students, from the financial aid office, and then they had, this is where I came in, they had rooms available, like Zoom rooms that the students could bounce between representing some of the student orgs. So I was at a Zoom room for ASDA, so we got to answer a lot of questions to pre-dents. Actually, a handful of you that listen said hi and mentioned that you come from the podcast, so that was fun. And then the next night I had a Christian Dental Association, our last Bible study of the year that I led. And then we had a social at Strahan, which is like a really nice lunch, brunch, breakfast cafe here. And it was in the evening though, so they made like specialty appetizers for us and like a specialty latte. It was really nice. And we were presented by a financial like accountant, a CPA, that's the right word. And then it was sponsored by a dental supply company, Patterson. And then the next night I had a dinner with my executive council for ASDA, so the 6 of us plus me, and we met with 2 representatives from the Michigan Dental Association, the MDA, to kind of go over our plan for the year, update them, let them meet the new board members that weren't on board last year, just kind of continue our relationship with the Michigan Dental Association. Then the next night, I presented to a pre-dental club in Texas, of course, over Zoom because I'm in Michigan. And on Friday, we had a really cool lunch and learn in the middle of the day, actually at lunch for once, through Alpha Omega, the dental society that I'm in. And it was 2 dentists, one's faculty here, but they're married, so they're Dr. Golden and Dr. Golden. And they have a private practice that they work for that specializes in cosmetic dentistry now. They kind of talked us through the 3 offices that they've had and how they transitioned from family to both to just cosmetic and what you can kind of look for. The theme was like, you're graduating, now what? Like, what should you look for in associate contracts? How can you be a marketable associate and make people want to hire you? How can you make the most of your time out? What's good CE to take? When do you know if you're ready to start taking the advanced CE, like implants or sedation? So all of that was answered during that lunch and learn, and I had a really great time. And then that evening from 3 to 6:30, I went to a local food bank and clinic here called Hope Clinic in Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is just a neighboring town of Ann Arbor. And some of us ASDA members prepared dinner for the food pantry there. So we cooked a bunch of tacos and fed 90 people dinner. So that was really fun. And then it was a very volunteer heavy weekend because Saturday was our Give Kids a Smile Day, which is through the American Dental Association. They're the ones that provide some of this funding and resources and the initiative itself. But most dental schools, I don't want to say all because I don't know for a fact, but I think pretty much all dental schools do a Give Kids a Smile Day. And ours was this past weekend, so yesterday. And it was really, really great. Basically, D3s and D4s provide care, and then D1s and D2s, like myself, were assistants. And we saw 1 child in the morning and then 3 in the afternoon, actually. And they provided us some breakfast and some lunch in between the appointment sessions. There was just under 100 kids that we saw, with 150 of us volunteers, as well as staff, like in dispensing and sanitizing, and also faculty, dentists. So there were peds dentists, perio, general, everything. And it was really great. It's basically a free day for dental care for kids 4 through 14 in the community. And today I had bar. I took an online final for our tooth movement class. So I have 2 classes done. Tooth movement and practice management are complete. And then we have 2 finals this week left, I guess, now that I got that done. I have advanced restorative. That's also an online final. I have an in-person final on Tuesday for periotherapy. And on Monday, coming up tomorrow, I have my last SimLab practical. We're making bridges, a bridge for 19 through 21. The teeth will already be prepped, so we just mix up the PMMA, put it in the stent, contour it down, and call it a day. So hopefully it's one of those good lab days and not a bad lab day. And they're bringing in the Therapaws, so like the emotional support puppies, tomorrow as well from 12 to 1 at school. So I'm excited for that. They always bring them in around finals time. And I'm doing a Zen Flow yoga at the bar studio tomorrow night. So I'm really looking forward to giving myself a little mental reset tomorrow, because I did study a lot on this past week, and I studied all day today when I wasn't at bar and doing something with a family member. And then the rest of the week, other than the online final, the in-person final, and the practical, I have an ASDA event Tuesday night. There's a financial company coming to present to us at Pizza House. So we get dinner, and there's usually leftovers, so you get to take to-go food, which is perfect for finals week, And that night, Tuesday night, I have another podcast guest. I'm really trying to rack them up this week and then over break, because I was actually running out. As you know, I do like every other week, and I usually kind of bulk record them and then schedule them out based on whoever I recorded with first. But I was out come May, so I needed to get some more guests recorded. So that's what I've been working on for you guys. And then I have a haircut, a bunch more bar classes. We're doing a Zoom for AAWD members, so women dentists, and it's going to be like a clinic orientation, because we do have an orientation the day we get back from break as we are transitioning into clinic, but apparently it's not very helpful. So the upperclassmen are doing one for us, kind of teaching us how to do everything, which is really good, because I'm actually having a opportunity to start scheduling patients. So I got my patient pool on Friday, and I was able to look them up on my remote desktop onto MyDent, or Axiom is the actual platform, but we renamed it MyDent at our school. MI, like Michigan. That's kind of where that comes from. But I was able to look up all the patients, kind of see what their needs were, and I guess it's pretty common that the patients you get from the D4 graduating are really like the recall patients that don't have any active needs. So they might end up having caries when you do their exam, and then you might need to do restorations going forward, but they don't have any noted incomplete treatment, because it's part of the D4's grade to like finish necessary treatment if they can. And if there's something like, oh, they need to finish the steps of their RPD or something, that's going to go to the D3 rising to be a D4, unfortunately. And then as the summer goes on and the semester goes on, I'm able to request for patients for my test case requirements and everything that I don't have, because currently my patient base doesn't need any crowns, doesn't need any restorations, doesn't need any dentures, complete or RPD or anything. So unless they have anything present when I call them in for exams, I'm going to just be putting in a lot of requests. And I also have some family and friends that said they want to come in. Hopefully I can get some of them in this summer and get some practice done and get them some treatment that they need. But we're allowed to start scheduling tomorrow is the roundabout way of saying that. So I'm interested to learn how to schedule patients and start calling people up to try to bring them in the first couple weeks of May when we can start seeing patients. If any of you listening are in the Metro Detroit area and you don't have a dentist and you want to come get discounted dental care at the school, please let me know. You can email dentaldownloadpodcast@gmail.com and we can get you registered as a patient at the school, and you can come in and I can clean your teeth. We can do everything pretty much other than like implants, obviously, orthodontics, anything specialty would go to the specialty clinics, but I can get you a referral to those too. So if you're in the area, let me know. And yeah, so looking ahead, one more week so you all can be super caught up on what's going on. So like I said, practical, final, online final this week. And then I have Thursday and Friday to study. We have our normal dentures quiz on Friday too, but that's not a big deal because we have that every single week. And then the next week, we have school still Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we're on break. And across those 4 days, we have 7 finals. I think 2 of them will be online. One of them for sure is. One of them, the professor is still in between. So we'll see. But all good there. And then I'm heading to see Justin in Indiana where he lives and works. And then I'll be back here for the Michigan Dental Association conference. It's their annual session. So they're voting in our leaders for the state of Michigan. So that's the trustees, that's the treasurer, positions like that. And we're also voting on any resolutions to their stances on things. So myself and Tommy, the VP of our ASDA chapter, we are the voting delegate, myself, and he's the alternative delegate. So that's the big recap, 15-minute recap. I don't think the episode's going to be too long this week, so hopefully you're all excited to hear a little bit more about dental school and my club involvement and my advice to you guys when it comes to clubs and dental school. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right away from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify, but also everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available, and you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Did I mention it is totally free, no catch? I've been using Spotify for Podcasters since the very beginning of my show, and now we're nearing our 200th episode, so I can definitely say it's an easy platform, and I've really loved using it. So be sure to download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, so if the question is, why should I join clubs in dental school? What's the point? I'm already in dental school. I'm not trying to boost a resume. And that might be true, that might not be true. It really just depends if you're applying to a residency or not. But either way, that's not my case. If you've listened to the podcast before, I'm going to be a general dentist is my plan, hopefully going right into working as an associate as soon as I graduate. So I don't necessarily need leadership, resume builders per se. I think my hiring will just be based on personality and fit to the office as well as my clinical skills. But I'm just going to share first off the clubs that I'm involved in, especially what I was actually involved in my second year, because I kind of did a swap. I joined one club this year that I wasn't in last year and did not rejoin a club that I was in my first year. Nothing particular against that club. I was just trying to save money and limit what I was a member of. But I mean, I'm still in so many. I'm in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which I don't think you need to be in 7 clubs. That's just kind of how it worked out based on what I was interested in. But the first one, of course, that I've talked about many times, and even in this intro a bunch of times, is ASDA, the American Student Dental Association. At my chapter, I'm involved, as well as in District 6. So my first year at dental school, I was the pre-dental liaison for our chapter, and then I was elected the events coordinator. So that started around this time last year up until March of this year. So about a year of that role. And then I was elected the chapter president starting again this March up until next spring. I will be serving as a chapter president. During my second year, while I was a chapter events coordinator, I was also a couple roles for our District 6 cabinet. I was the editorial director as well as the communications director. And then for AAWD, American Association for Women Dentists, I was our D1 rep, which we elect once the D1s are involved for a semester. So it's really just the last semester of D1 year that you have that position. But that was my position first year. And then second year, I've been serving as the vice president, and we just had our elections a few weeks ago, and I ran for and was excited to be elected for social chair. I'll talk about that more in my semester recap, because there's a reason I'm not interested in being president of everything, even if, let's say, people did want to elect me for that. Who knows if that would happen, but I didn't even want that anyways. So I can talk about that in the semester recap episode that'll be up in a few weeks once I'm done with finals and everything. And then club number 3 is the Christian Dental Association that I also talk about a lot. I'm going based on like what I have leadership in, if you haven't gathered. So our Christian Dental Association, I was just a Bible study CDA member goer my first year, and then they needed help with leadership. So I said, sure, I'll try to help. So I've been a study leader for this past year, and I'll do that again next year. Our format is usually D1s get added into leadership when they're going into their second year, and then you're a leader for 2 years, and fourth year you still like come to everything that you want and you're involved, but you don't have a formal leadership role, just with how busy people can be with boards, with traveling for interviews, whether it's residency or jobs, or maybe they're getting married or they're buying a house, like they're just preparing to move on with life. So it's hard to make sure that they can come to everything. So that's why our leaders are usually our second and third years, which will be me next year, still as a third-year dental student. Club number 4 is the Dental Student Business Association. I don't have leadership in that. And then I'm in Alpha Omega Dental Society, which I mentioned. I do go to the e-board meetings because I have a tiny role where I help out as the D1 transition committee. So basically I make academic preview slides each semester for the D1 class. So when they're going into their fall term, I would be putting on a Zoom with 2 of my other classmates, and we run through each of their classes, give them tips, let them know like if the exams are hard or easy, or they're multiple choice, are they written, advice for practicals, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm also a member of CDS, Cosmetic Dental Society. I don't have leadership in that either, and I haven't had much complaints about that, actually. I really like that one this year. This is the one I swapped, if you will. I did Special Care Dentistry Association my first year, and then this year I did Cosmetic Dental Society. And they had a really cool speaker in the fall semester, a dentist from the area who's an alumni that I personally really liked, so it was good to get to hear from her. And then this semester they had a hands-on workshop where the past president of the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry actually flew here from Oregon and did a CE presentation as well as a CE hands-on workshop, so that was amazing. And then the last one is SPDL, Scholars Professional Leadership Development or something. I wish I knew what the acronym stood for. Obviously not on leadership for that either, if I don't even know what the acronym stands for. But essentially that is the kind of school-wide book club. So there's faculty in it as well as dental students, and we read a leadership or self-help, self-improvement book each semester, and we meet usually like once every 4 or 5 weeks. We break the book up into chunks and like discuss it. I honestly haven't been around those meetings at all this semester. I haven't had time, which is a big bummer. I still got the books, like I'm getting my money's worth in that sense of paying dues, but I haven't had time to read it, and I've had conflicting meetings whenever they're meeting, but I'm still glad I'm in it, and I'm still going to keep trying to do it every semester because I like the idea of it, and it would be lovely if I could actually read a book each semester and better myself in that way. So next up, I'm going to talk about why I think you should get involved, what are some of the advantages to being in clubs in dental school, and how it kind of adds to your education outside of the curriculum. So I told you about the clubs that I was in, all 7 of them, and the leadership roles that I have. Obviously the ones that I have leadership in, I spend a lot more time on. I go to like every event rather than just some, but I feel like I get something out of all of them that I at least am semi-involved in. So I said the words supplement your education earlier, and that's like the overarching theme of why I think you should get involved in clubs, is because you only learn so much in dental school. You learn a lot of the research behind clinical decision making. You learn a lot about the physiology of the body, the biomechanics of different materials or different designs of dentures, and you're learning all these technicalities, but you're not really learning any practical skills when it comes to communication, when it comes to leading a team, when it comes to interacting with patients, when it comes to handling the finances of a practice if you want to be an owner, when it comes to doing advanced procedures, because they really just teach you the basics, because you only have 4 years, you only have 2 years in clinic. You don't have that much time to learn how to do everything really well. But what you do have is those hours after school gets out. So you might be in school 8 to 5, you might get a lunch break, and then you have the weekends. So what do you do with the lunch break? Do you sit in the forum and chat with your friends? That's great. But maybe one day a week you go to a lunch and learn, and you learn about veneers, because in my case, our school, we don't get taught how to prep veneers or how to do composite veneers. But with that CDS CE course, I got to practice it. Granted, mine looked terrible, but better to do it terrible on a typodont than try to learn how to do it at a CE for the first time ever. At least I will have had some experience, and I got the tips from the professional that are always going to be in the back of my mind now when I work on that skill. So it really does add to what you're learning in school. And that kind of leads into my next reason, is that you get to really personalize, like, what do you want to learn? What kind of dentistry do you want to do? Like, the clubs I might be in, maybe they aren't interesting to you at all. Maybe you want to go into public health dentistry, or you want to be a lecturer, like a teacher, but there's clubs for that too. Or you want to be involved in a club for your culture or your heritage, there's clubs for that too. So I just encourage you to kind of attend your school's student org fair and try to get involved in a couple things that you think are going to add to what you want to get out of dental school. And they're going to add to making you a better dentist, whatever kind of dentist you want to be when you graduate. The next thing that I think a lot of us forget about by the time we're in dental school is community service. I mentioned in the intro, I'm finally getting back into volunteering through ASDA now that things with COVID are getting a little bit better here and there, We're able to start doing more volunteering in the community. And I think that helps remotivate me personally, reminds me why I'm in healthcare at all, what my goals are, what my passions are, how I want to spend some of my free time, even when I'm a clinician, still donating services, whether it is cooking a dinner or it's dental services, whatever it may be. And I also think that clubs allow you to dive deeper into your passions. I was kind of just mentioning that with community service, but if you really love kids, like Give Kids a Smile Day, that's through the American Association of Pediatric Dentistry, our chapter at the dental school. I'm not in it. Anyone could have volunteered, but they're the ones that organized and planned it all. So if you're really passionate about kids, there's an org for that. There's a way to get involved. And doing the service events, doing the hands-on events, hearing from practicing dentists through ASDA, or hearing from all these different opportunities about life after graduation really, really, really motivates me to get through the tough classes, the stressful classes, the annoying classes, whatever kind of class it is. Makes it easier for me to study because I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And if you're just locking yourself in your room after school and studying nonstop, I feel like you're going to be miserable. You're going to lose sight of your vision and your why you want to even be in dental school in the first place. And it can be really isolating and lonely and dark. But getting involved gets you back into the community, gets you connected with alumni, gets you connected with practicing dentists in whatever area you want to be. So they're like mentors, they're people you can look up to, they're people that just give you guidance and something to look forward to, because dental school is really hard, but being in these orgs allows you to have a brighter outlook because you know what's coming and you're getting more prepared for that day. That leads into the next thing, which is continued self-improvement and leadership skills if you do choose to run for executive board and you do get elected. I feel like I am still growing so much through my podcast and YouTube and everything. Obviously, I'm talking the whole time I'm on these episodes, but through these organizations, especially on a professional level, really, really improving my communication skills, getting to talk to these practicing dentists about how they motivate their team, how they make their team feel inspired to come to work today, to retain their team members when it's such a competitive industry for dental staffing right now. All those things I wouldn't know how to be a great team leader in a dental setting if I wasn't in these organizations. And I'm not saying I'm going to be perfect, but I'm certainly better off than the people that have never heard these tips, these experiences. And I think with anything in life, the more exposure you get, then you can pick and choose what you want to bring to the table when you're a dentist, when you're maybe a practice owner, or when you're leading a team. Maybe something this one speaker says totally rubs you the wrong way and you're like, I would never want to do that. That's okay. But now you know what's out there. Maybe you know that's not the kind of office you want to work in. It just allows you to be more prepared when you're making those career decisions down the line. And the last thing that I think you tangibly get out of student organizations a lot of times is attending conferences. And that roundabout way speaking brings in all those things I just mentioned. You get those CE courses, you get those connections, you get those leadership skills, you get to dive deeper into your actual interests outside of what you're learning in school. So I've really enjoyed going to conferences, specifically through ASDA, but I'm hoping to go to some through CMDA, Christian Dental Medical Association, in the coming years before I graduate, as well as there is one for American Association for Women Dentists that I would like to go to as well. So we'll see if that becomes an opportunity for me. But I love going, meeting dental students at other schools, and also meeting practicing dentists. Like, that really, really helps me feel like I'm more prepared for the day I'm looking for a job and the day I step foot into a real office. Because every office runs differently. So the more dentists I can talk to, the more prepared I feel. So the last little thing we're going to talk about before we wrap up this episode, and I let you know who our amazing guests are next week. Yes, guests, plural. We have a trio, including myself, next week. But I said in the intro, I have an only if or a word of caution statement. And this is just my own opinion, as is everything in this show pretty much. It's always just my opinion. So my experiences and my advice is always not necessarily right for every person. But I say only join clubs if you're actually going to show up. I don't ever really understand why people become members of things, pay $20, $30, $60, $300 for the dental fraternities dollars, and then don't get involved in any of the events or go to any of the presentations, because then you're not even learning anything. It just puzzles me. But I mean, everyone has a different outlook on things, I guess. And I guess some people join, they figure, oh, they have a really cool shirt this year that's worth $25, and they join just for the shirt and then don't ever come to anything. But in my opinion, if you're going to join, like, be selective maybe about what you join. Maybe join less things so you have time to go to everything. Get involved in leadership so that you can put a petition in there for events that work for your class's schedule so you can actually go to stuff. And the actual last thing is kind of the added benefits, the things that I've gotten out of clubs that aren't necessarily a firm point to the club per se. So the first thing is mentorship and connections within your school. I wouldn't have known a bunch of the D3s and D4s and also the D1s now if I wasn't in these student orgs. Like, that's how I figure out who I want to assist. I look up specific names of people that I'm friends with from these clubs. I also just feel like I have people to look up to and ask questions for with classes, or when it comes to eventually taking boards or eventually the job search. Like, I have these friends and these connections that they're great personal life friends, but they're also mentors in the profession in dental school. And similarly, outside of my peers, my colleagues, the students, you also get to meet faculty, because every student org has to have at least one faculty advisor. But usually there's, for example, with AO, the Dental Society, Dr. Golden is, I don't think, our faculty advisor. She might be though, but she was a previous member. So that's why she is still involved, because she's an alumni member now. And A lot of the clubs have, like ASDA has 2 faculty advisors because it's such a big club. So that's a really great way to meet people in the school, or if you're doing one of the specialty clubs because you want to do endo or ortho or peds, you'll get to know the faculty and the residents for that, so it's easier for you to go assist in the specialty clinics. Those are just some examples, but it just will make you feel more comfortable in dental school, give you some connections again, maybe for your career, maybe for guidance in a class, like anything. It just gets you connected with people. And I already talked about making friends, so I can skip over that. And the last thing, like how I mentioned conferences, I feel like it's a great chance to get to see new places, whether you're just going to an event at a different dental school that also has this organization, or you're even doing just like a joint thing. Like for us, we're Michigan, then there's also Detroit Mercy. We're the 2 schools in the state of Michigan. So sometimes we do combined events with them. So you get to go see like downtown Detroit. Maybe we'll go to a Tigers game or something. But there's also the conferences for ASDA that are in Chicago or Louisville this year that I went to, or I got to go to California. And we went to Columbus. Next year, we're going to go to Cincinnati, Chicago, and then wherever else annual session is, Washington, D.C. You get to go to all of these places, get really, really, really discounted conference prices compared to when you're a dentist and are paying for all the CE. Usually, the student org or your university will be able to cover a large portion of the cost of attending and going to these places. Usually, the conferences are like during business hours, and you have the evenings to explore, or there's pre-programmed super fun socials and things. So that's another reason that I think you should get involved. And the more involved you are, the more likely you'll be able to go to these conferences if they do have like a limited number of spots. So that's something else to keep in mind. But that's everything I have for this week's episode. Next week, we're joined by 2 general dentists that I've had on the show before, Dr. Hamza and Dr. Steven. They've both been on for individual episodes, and I brought them back again to have a little joint episode. This is actually their second joint episode. So they've both been on individually, and then they've been on for a joint episode, and now they're on for another joint episode. So it's a very fun conversation all about the ins and outs of life as a dentist. We talk about like paying off debt and investing. We talk about CE. We talk about when you finally get comfortable as an associate, all those things. So look forward to that episode next Monday. I probably won't do an intro, just a heads up, because I will be deep into those final exams, and you'll all get an update about how the semester finished up in the D2 winter semester recap. That will be up probably the next week, so April 25th. So thank you all so much for listening this Monday, and I will talk to you all next week.